Welcome to our first meeting back from summer break. Hope everybody had a beautiful time at the beach. We have a presentation from Riverbank State Park.
Good evening, everybody. I'm here on behalf of the Commissioner Ash and the regional director. Neither one could make it, so they asked me to come by and to answer questions that you guys have on our request for expression of interest for the skating rink. What it basically means is what we're trying to do is go out to the public and private sector to find out different ideas on a better way of really operating the skating rink. There are several issues inside the skating rink itself, from its infrastructure in terms of its chillers. Everything is starting to age now. The park has been open for 17 years. As we all know, the state of New York is in a difficult financial situation. So what we were trying to do was take a preemptive strike and trying to make sure that we maintain services at the park at its current level. Questions?
What do you charge the public that uses this facility now?
Okay.
What are they going to charge?
I have no idea what they're going to charge. Inside the proposal for itself, just said they want kind of people, try to have them stay exclusive possible to what we do. We charge $5 for entry and $5 for the skates themselves. So we're talking about maybe $10, which is unheard of. I don't think anybody's going to be able to match that anywhere in New York City. So I don't know how a company's going to come in and stay anywhere close to $10. If you've been to any skating rink, it's probably a minimum of almost $20 a head, one way or another.
I think I saw Georgette.
Yes. And what two organizations actually came?
Excuse me?
What two organizations?
There was one that where they call it Iceworks, and Iceworks is one of the organizations that run the city park ice rinks. And there was another private firm that came in. I don't have the name on the top of my head. A private firm that came in and they talked about the possibility of trying to find a way to have another rink there. So there's two rinks in order for them to generate the revenue and still to maintain the services to the public, and at the same time for them to make some type of gain. So their capital investment would probably be a lot larger, and at the same time they were talking about the possibility of bringing in a minor league hockey team, and they were trying to find out would the community be interested in having a minor league hockey team in their area in this community, which is something that there aren't any minor league hockey programs in New York City area. So I told them that that's something they'd have to probably take up with the community board, that they'd have to talk to stakeholders, the people that are around, to get a better feel on that.
Everybody talks about how crazy and dysfunctional Albany was, but we were able to do some good things. We were able to do some good things, and I want to talk a little bit about one of the bills that I was able to author and pass, and finally get passed in the Senate, and that's a bill granting domestic workers, those folks that work as nannies and caregivers, and work in people's homes. My grandmother was a domestic worker, so it's a bill that's very near and dear to my heart. Granting domestic workers full rights under the labor laws and full rights under the human rights laws. What it means for them is that they will be able to get 1 day off during a week. They will also be granted time and a half overtime, and they will get at least 3 days off in vacation time each and every year. Some of you may have heard about some of these domestic workers have actually been exploited to a large degree. I've been working with these groups of folks for a long time, and I've heard horror stories over the years, the taking of passports so they can't leave, sleeping in bathrooms and such, and being sexually exploited. So it's a bill that was a long time coming, and something that I'm very, very proud of, and I'm glad that Albany was able to get that piece of legislation passed.
And I just want to know about these home health aid, and some of them, the hours has been cut and everything. And there's a lot of questions I'd like to ask, but those are some of the main questions I've asked about being unionized and what benefits are they entitled to. because I noticed some of them hours has been cut.
The domestic workers, the folks that I was talking about, are not unionized as of yet. However, what my bill does in fact do, it gives them the right. It gives them the right to unionize. So that's something they have to decide amongst themselves. As far as the health care workers that you're talking about, I believe that home health care workers are unionized at this moment, or they have the right to be unionized, and they would fall under the umbrella of the 1199 health care workers.
No, I want you to check with George Gresham.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr.
I will.
Council member Inez Dickens recently allocated $10,000 this fiscal year for, quote, constituency services providing health and recreational services that have been cut or eliminated due to budget cuts.
Hi, my name is Mel Wymore, and I'm the chair of Community Board 7. Today we're going to talk a little bit about what are community boards and some of the impact of recent budget cuts to the community boards in New York City. Community Board 7 represents the Upper West Side of Manhattan, from 59th Street to 110th Street, and from Central Park to the Hudson River. We represent about 200,000 residents, and there are 50 members of the community board. Now, a community board is not an elected role of city government, but we play a very vital role in being a conduit for citizens who live in a community to get to know what the city government is doing, and also organize themselves and avail themselves of city services. We're an easy place to find, and so we really are at the ground level of the way a city operates. The 50 members of the community board are all volunteers. They're selected by the borough president, and with the strong advice of the city council and the members of the city council that know that particular area. So they're members of the community board that live in the district, or they actually work in the district, so they know what's going on day to day and neighborhood to neighborhood within a particular district. In New York City, there's 59 community boards, and in Manhattan, there's 12 community boards, and each of those boards represents about somewhere between 100,000 and 200,000 residents.
The Transportation Committee it's the kind of committee that really touches everybody's lives. We deal with issues from sidewalks to pedestrian ramps to bus route changes to subway station expansions to traffic signals. We really touch everybody's lives. We're about to undertake a huge survey of conditions on the streets and sidewalks because we've noticed that they've become really they've lapsed into a deplorable condition, and for some reason they're not being addressed. So we always talk to the Department of Transportation. We have a great relationship with them. That's another thing that community boards do. They have great relationships with the city agencies that they represent. And so we're going to begin surveying the entire district. It's a big job, but I think at the end of it, people will have a lot better sidewalks and streets.
Hello, welcome to MNN's special programming, Community Board TV. Do you have quality of life complaints, those that never seem to be fixed no matter how many times you call 311? Are you concerned about construction projects in your neighborhood or overcrowding in your kids' school? Do you want more senior centers or maybe parks or grocery stores in your neighborhood? Are you worried about the effect of the nation's economy on our community? Your local community board can help address these types of problems, and we're going to talk about that today. My name is Helen Rosenthal, and I'm chair of Community Board 7, and I'm here today with Penny Ryan, who is the district manager of Community Board 7, who who is an expert community problem solver. So, Penny, let's start with 311. Tell me about how you interface with 311 in connection to our constituents, the residents in this district.
A constituent can do two things with us with regard to 311. One is when they call 311 to be sure and get the complaint number. That's just critical.
Okay.
And then call our office and give us that complaint number and the complaint itself, and we will follow up with the agency and make sure that it's resolved, especially if they think it's an urgent matter. The other way we can work with 311 and a constituent is when 311 can't take the complaint, either because of a geographic problem or because it's not in their system. And if 311 says they can't take the complaint, if the constituent calls our office, then we take it as our complaint and follow up in the same way.
So people can really know two things, and we've said this at our full board meetings before, that people should do two things when they call 311. First, they should call our office so we can help with the follow-up. But I hadn't realized the second, that if they're not getting a satisfactory response from 311, they should just call you.
Yes.
Okay. So can you give me an example of a complaint actually that you would get from 311 or from a constituent that they would also do to 311 and how you follow up?
Well, for example, we had talked about noise complaints recently.
Yeah.
And we were looking at DEP and how they handle noise complaints.
Right.
So one of the complaint that we often get is HVAC complaints, where you have a commercial air conditioner on the roof of a restaurant that's next to an apartment building, and it's cycling on and off. It's too loud. It's not baffled properly. So if the constituent calls 311, they'll arrange for DEP to come out and actually measure the decibels of the air conditioning unit. But from there, then we pick up and we make sure that DEP gets there. But then we also talk to the property owner, the restaurant owner, and we even have some of our local restaurateurs who help out their fellow restaurateurs on different ways to mitigate air conditioning noise and the cycling problem and all that.
Right. Now, it's interesting, the Department of Environmental Protection actually produces a report, a monthly report, where they list out the number of complaints. And noise complaints appear to be the largest percentage of complaints. Of the 425 complaints that were issued to the DEP in October of 2008, nearly half of them were noise, which is just so interesting. Is 425, is that a big number?
That's our average number.
Average number every month?
Every month for the Upper West Side.
Do you have a sense, talking to other district managers in other districts, is this larger or fewer?
Well, I have a sense from talking to the agencies.
Okay.
They say that the Upper West Side registers the most complaints of any community board in the city.
Oh, that's so interesting. Now, is that because we have a noisier community, do you think, or?
Well, it's a combination, because we have a lot of interface between commercial and residential and a lot of construction right now. So we do have a lot, probably more conditions, but also our community is known for being very active in city government and knowing how to register complaints.
Right. I know our elected officials, whenever they come to community board meetings, always preface it by saying, we know you're not shy.
Right.
So
that's a good summary.
Okay. So some of the other noise complaints were barking dogs and also car alarms. We still have problems with car alarms, it seems. The other complaint that jumped out at me that I thought was interesting that I wouldn't have expected is hydrants, fire hydrants. What's happening there? About 60 complaints of the 425 were related to hydrants.
Right. That's a frequent complaint. There'll be something wrong with the hydrant. It'll be leaking or it'll be open, and it's something that needs to be addressed right away because of icy conditions and water pressure, and the fire department is good at going out and doing that. The difficulty gets to be if the complaint goes through 311 and goes to DEP instead of to the fire department. So we're working.
Oh, interesting.
We're working with 311 actually right now to make sure that their system on this little computer thing that they have shows that the complaint should go to the fire department and to DEP.
The fire department can respond more quickly, and DEP for the purpose of monitoring.
Right.
And the fire department can actually determine what the cause is. It may be just a matter of a valve or something, but if it's a matter of construction work that needs to be done to reset it, then they can let DEP know what the actual problem is.
Do you get the sense that's a typical number as well, about 50,
yes.
60 complaints a month?
Yes.